Mars, the red planet. Everything about it is on a colossal scale. Home to Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, 3 times the size of Mount Everest, and Voles Marinaris, a canyon system so vast it would stretch across the entire United States. Orbiting cameras send back breathtaking images of wandering sand dunes, towering dust devils, and landscapes that look like abstract art. It's no wonder that in the 21st century, Mars beckons, and nations around the world are in a new space race to reach it. India has successfully launched its Mars probe. The European Space Agency is committed to landing and drilling on the surface. Even private companies like SpaceX are joining the fray. It's becoming a destination for national prestige, with the UAE launching the first-ever Arab Islamic mission to another planet. But no country is more determined than the United States. NASA is aiming to have humans in the vicinity of Mars by the early 2030s. First phase of this monumental journey is happening right now, aboard the International Space Station. Every day, astronauts are studying how the human body adapts to long-duration spaceflight, laying the groundwork for the trip to Mars. Back on Earth, a new generation of astronauts is preparing for the challenges of deep space. At the Johnson Space Center in Houston, they train in a giant pool that simulates weightlessness. One of these astronauts is Jessica Meir, a physiologist who studied animals in extreme environments. Now, she's about to become the subject of the very experiments she used to design. After studying other animals, it's her turn to be the guinea pig. The journey to Mars will take about 6 to 9 months with current technology. One of the biggest dangers, radiation. NASA engineers are building the Orion space capsule with this in mind, testing materials like extra layers of metal and even water to shield the crew from harmful solar particles. They're carefully calculating the radiation dose astronauts would receive to ensure the risk is manageable. But what about life during the mission? The round trip, including time on Mars, could take up to 3 years. How do you keep a small crew sane, cooped up in a tiny space for that long? NASA is tackling this with projects like Hera, a habitat simulator. Inside, researchers study the psychological and social dynamics of a long-duration mission. They're designing habitats with separate work and living areas, giving astronauts personal space, even if it's no bigger than a New York condo. On Mars, astronauts will need to explore, enter the space exploration vehicle. The plan is to send 2 of these rovers, each with a crew of 2. If one breaks down, the crew can transfer to the other and get back to base safely. These vehicles also feature a clever design to combat one of the biggest lessons from the Apollo missions: dust. The spacesuits are attached to the outside, so astronauts can climb in and out without tracking the fine Martian soil into their living quarters. Speaking of spacesuits, the ones from Mars are essentially personal spacecraft. They have to protect against the extreme environment and intense radiation for long periods. But here's the twist. With communication delays of up to 20 minutes each way, astronauts on Mars can't just call mission control for help. They need to be So, the new suits are being designed to be more user-friendly and easier to maintain, empowering the astronauts to solve problems on their own. Despite all this incredible progress, many challenges remain. Chris Hadfield, a former commander of the International Space Station, points out the risks of a long journey. What if someone gets sick? What if a critical system fails? With a trip that long, anything can happen. He argues that the real game changer will be developing much faster spacecraft. If you could get to Mars in minutes instead of months, many of these dangers would simply disappear. Nevertheless, NASA is pressing on, driven by an unyielding spirit of exploration. The dream of setting foot on another planet is no longer just science fiction. It's becoming a reality, built piece by piece, experiment by experiment. The journey to Mars is humanity's next great adventure, and we are living in the era where it all begins. Thank you so much for watching. What part of the Mars mission excites you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.